Welcome to the Scout Team MVPs podcast, your home for weekly sports talk, where we break down all of your favorite teams, players, and upcoming matchups. Here are your hosts, the Scout Team MVPs.
Welcome to episode 6 of the Scout Team MVPs podcast. I am your host, Chris McMillan. With me, Robb Guthrie. Back again with us this week, Shane Burlick. Boys, we are 1 week into the new year. Have you given up on your New Year's resolutions yet?
I told you guys last week I didn't set any because I always give up on them. So, yeah, I actually kept my New Year's resolution of not setting any New Year's resolutions. So I'm holding pretty strong.
Perfect. Shane?
Well, congrats, Rob, on continuing to want to fail. But anyways, I think I'm down a couple pounds. I don't know. I haven't stepped on a scale, so that I can't verify that. But
in your bra.
Oh, getting ready. Okay.
Shots fired.
So great. That sounds good. Yep. My New Year's resolutions are holding pat. I think I only made one, didn't I? Winning the 2019 fantasy football championship from Shane.
Did you get Shane's permission to hold pat?
Oh, yeah. Inside joke. But yeah, Shane, I'm taking that trophy coming up in a short 11 months.
Well, you got about as much chance as Rob, so I'm not too worried.
Yep. But did you guys see that whole Giannis, Pat Connaughton, and The Rock exchange on social media over the past couple days? What did you think of that? Rob, break it down. Love it. What happened?
So Giannis did an interview, and the guy is so charming. I love him. I'm in love with him, But he did an interview because he expressed wanting to work out with The Rock, and he said he could take The Rock in a wrestling match. And The Rock tweeted out saying something to the effect of he didn't want that smoke.
Yeah, he'd like smoke his lips off or something weird like that. Yeah, could you imagine The Rock and Giannis toe-to-toe? I think we should book that WrestleMania match right now.
See, I don't know, though. Giannis is like 18 feet tall, and he's got like a 35-foot reach, so he might have the advantage.
Shane, are you on Team Rock or Team Giannis?
Well, obviously, I have to be on Team Giannis, but I don't really follow social media as much as you guys, so I have no idea what you were talking about. But Giannis is pretty small. I think The Rock might win. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'd have to go with The Rock if we're talking about a wrestling match. But
yeah, I think so.
Fun little exchange those guys had over the past couple of days on Twitter. But like I said, gentlemen, episode 6 coming at you. We got lots going on, lots of fun things happening in the world of sports. We had quite the weekend with the NFL wildcard games. We're going to recap that for you in segment 1. Huge news dropping earlier on Monday. Matt LeFleur looks like he's going to be the new head coach of the Green Bay Packers. We're going to break that down for you in segment number 2. As always, our honorable mentions of the week. We got lots of good stuff out there happening, some soccer news, baseball offseason, NFL released their all-pro teams, and we have some new golf rules released from the USGA for 2019.
Thank God.
This will all help us immensely, being the very, very poor golfers that we are.
Wait a minute.
Can't wait. Yeah, it's true. Can't wait to break that down in our honorable mentions. And finishing off the episode, scouting for picks, doing a little NFL wildcard game recap, and going to pick the divisional round games coming up this week. With that, boys, that's what we got going on, and we're going to take a short break and ad from our sponsor. Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? When I was trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other places people like to listen? How do I make money from my podcast? The answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors too, so you get paid to podcast. For the Scout Team MVPs and what we decided to use to get our podcast off the ground, there was no better choice than Anchor. So if you've always wanted to start a podcast and make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast. And we're back on episode 6 of the Scout Team MVPs podcast, jumping right into NFL wildcard action. What a great couple of games we had, boys. We're going to start off with the Chargers and Ravens. We were on the Raven train, Rob, and that didn't work out so well.
Yeah, not really. I mean, it's the Chargers, but kind of hope for a miracle. And it almost happened, I guess.
Chargers 23, Ravens 17. Ravens could do absolutely nothing most of that ball game. Lamar Jackson looked like a rookie for the first 3 quarters, but turned it on late, throwing a couple touchdown passes in the fourth quarter there, pulling them within a score. Couldn't quite pull off the victory in the end, though. Phillip Rivers and the Chargers coming out on top. Shane, any thoughts on that matchup?
Yeah, I mean, the Chargers had played Lamar Jackson. I think they're the only team that's played him twice now. So if any team is going to solve him, probably the Chargers. But they got a tough road ahead. We had Phillip Rivers is 0-7 against Tom Brady. So who knows what will happen down the road.
Yeah, Rob, more thoughts on that?
No, Shane actually kind of hit him for once. You know, like Shane said, they did play twice. They were able to shut down the run essentially the whole entire game. And the only time they scored any points was when they let them open it up and throw the ball, 14 times in the last quarter?
Yeah, and overall, Lamar Jackson finishing the day with 194 yards, 2 TDs, did throw an interception, put the ball on the ground quite a few times, which ultimately ended their comeback attempt, sack fumble there, Chargers recovering. Phillip Rivers, 160 yards on the day. Melvin Gordon, 17 attempts, 40 yards, and a touchdown. Chargers moving on to the divisional round. And next game, boys, we had, this game was very, very, defensive oriented for most of it, but it got very interesting towards the end, and that is the Eagles and Bears matchup. Shane, I want you to start us off, and what did you think of that game?
Well, I can't say I'm sad about the result. Not the biggest Bears fan. How does Carson Wentz have to feel sitting on the sideline watching Nick Foles do all of this? Like, he's got to feel like the biggest loser in the world. Just like, oh, man, great to sit here and watch Nick Foles get all the accolades.
If I'm Carson Wentz right now, I'm buddying up with the GM and trying to tell him that you are the best quarterback on the team, even though I don't think he is.
Do you kind of think that maybe somewhere Carson Wentz was hoping Cody Parkey made that kick just to kind of just so this doesn't repeat last year?
Yes, definitely. I think so. And again, if you're in the Eagles position and you have a guy that shows up, it seems to be every important game, and he shows up and gets you wins, how do you not go to him as your starter, Yeah.
I think Wentz is younger, more upside.
Yeah, upside doesn't get you wins, though. So, I mean, upside's great, but
what do you mean upside doesn't? What do you mean upside doesn't get you wins? Look at the Browns. They have upside, but they didn't make the playoffs this year. But there's some optimism for next year.
Yeah, optimism. But Shane, unlike the Browns, the Eagles actually are probably going to win the Super Bowl frickin' again because of that same guy who won it for him last time.
Not a chance. There's no way. And I know we're going to get to this later, but there's no way the Eagles are beating the Saints in New Orleans. I'm sorry.
So. I think you're wrong. I think
you're very wrong.
Nick Foles, I think Nick Foles is a beast. I think you are a little bit delusional after your break.
You kidding me? Nick Foles is going to outplay Drew Brees in Drew Brees' house. No chance.
Yes, Oh yeah, 100%. Shane, I will give you nothing if he does that, and I will give you nothing if he doesn't.
How about we talk
It's
about
not going to happen.
How about we talk about giving nothing later on when we break down the divisional round games? But yeah, staying on the Eagles Bears for a second, boys. Eagles coming out on top, 16-15, and the huge story from that game: Bears having a chance to win on a last-second field goal attempt. Cody Parkey, who has struggled most of the year, and he finds every single upright throughout the season. It seems like ending that game. Found out today, after that game happened, that it was tipped slightly, but still hitting the left upright, bouncing off the crossbar, coming back into the field of play. Eagles scraping by 16-15. Nick Foles, like you guys talked about, 266 through the air, 2 TDs. He did throw 2 costly interceptions. Mitch Trubisky, first playoff appearance, throwing for over 300 yards and a touchdown. Not much to speak of on the ground for either team, but Allen Robinson for the Bears did have 10 catches, 143 yards, and a TD in that one. But the Eagles are advancing, playing the Saints this upcoming week here, and that should be a fun one, and we'll break that down for you later on in this episode. Next matchup, boys, Colts coming out on top of the Texans, 21-7. Andrew Luck, we've talked about him, the first couple episodes and all the way through the season. He's been looking really good and getting a victory over the Texans.
Yeah, he did well there. He did throw that interception, but the Colts defense, as I predicted, would just shut down the Texans until the fourth quarter. Literally, Texans didn't score at all till the fourth. And Andrew Luck didn't go crazy, but he did enough to get the win. Again, we talked about it a couple weeks ago, maybe last week. I'm super proud of him, super happy for him, and this is what you look for in your elite quarterbacks.
Shane, thoughts on that game?
Yeah, to me, this was the only game that was like a wire-to-wire, just like never felt like the Texans had a chance in this game. I think the Colts jumped out 14-0 pretty early in the game, and this Houston just was kind of lost the whole game. They just didn't show up to play, it seemed like to me. Never felt like the Colts were in any jeopardy of giving that one away. I mean, every other game this weekend you kind of argue was at some point or another in question, just not this one. Andrew Luck, he's definitely looking like an MVP candidate for next year if he can stay healthy. I mean, he's what they thought he was, not to steal that famous quote, but he's coming back into his own here.
Yeah, Andrew Luck definitely, like we've talked about, every episode basically so far, playing well, getting his team a victory, 21-7 over the Texans. Some noticeable stats there for the Colts. Marlon Mack, 148 yards on the ground and a touchdown. He's been really good for them when he's been healthy this season. On Texans side of things, Deshaun Watson, 235 and a TD, did throw an interception. Also rushed for 76 yards on 8 attempts. But the Indianapolis Colts moving on in the NFL playoffs. Good for them, and it'll be fun to watch them this week. Next game, boys. Oh, boy. Shane, cover your ears. Cowboys.
I don't want to talk about it. Can I take this one off?
Cowboys, Seahawks. Cowboys coming out on top, 24-22. We are going to start with Shane, of course, because as we all know, he is a Seahawks fan. Shane, break it down for us.
Well, I watched every single play, of course. Seahawks had the lead going into the fourth quarter. Now, kind of thought at some point right before the half when their kicker went out that they were in a little bit of trouble. Kind of look at typical Seahawks football. They wait until the last 5 minutes of the game all of a sudden to say, oh, wait, we should probably start trying to win now. And as per usual, when that happens, it was too little too late for him. I thought Wilson played okay. The running game wasn't there this week, which kind of set him up for some failure. And obviously not having a kicker for half the game was not good, especially that horrible onside kick at the end of the game. I don't know why you don't punt it at someone, but that's all I have to say about that.
I touched on it last week. Dallas has like the 5th best rush defense in the NFL leading up to that game. And, it kind of showed. Penny only had 30 yards. I mean, they really did nothing on the ground, and that's kind of how the Seahawks win. To your point, though, it seems like a lot of teams have that conservative mentality in football games where you just kind of play, and then when you're down, that's when you try to win. And I think that's what lost them the game.
Yeah, Shane, you touched on it.
Well, those too costly.
That's right.
Sorry.
Yeah, you touched on it, Shane.
Go ahead.
Seahawks kicker Sebastian Janikowski, long field goal attempt there in the first half, and after he kicked it, seemed to have pulled a hamstring. And we were texting back and forth during that game, and you said this could be big trouble because if you lose a kicker, especially in a game as important as in the playoffs here, obviously, and you don't have anybody that can kick a field goal, you're in trouble. Big trouble. Their punter, drop kicking.
Yeah, you could wind up with Cody Parkey.
Touché. But their punter, drop kicking footballs.
Janikowski's in such good shape.
He is quite the specimen, that Janikowski. But you have a drop kicker, field goal, and kickoffs. You're drop kicking an onside kick. Why didn't he just absolutely blast it at one of the guys on the Cowboys front line or something like that and try and get it to bounce off and come right back to him? I just did not understand that whatsoever.
Yeah, I just don't get why. I mean, he literally kicks balls for a living, and you can't put the ball on a tee and kick it that way, where you can't literally figure that out in 2 quarters.
Did you see the video of him kicking at halftime? He was like everywhere but near the uprights with his kicks. It was bad. He was like 20 yards off either direction from extra point range. I think that's all they wanted from him was extra point range. But he couldn't even do that.
Yeah, I'm just mystified at how he literally he just cannot find a way to kick the ball off the ground. That's amazing.
In today's NFL, how do you not have anyone at all? I know roster spots are limited and stuff like that, but you'd think with just how talented some of these guys are that, if you think about it, there's people like Odell and, Chad Johnson when he was in the league that are kicking field goals like it's nothing in pregame, and even Chad Johnson kicking, in a game, Odell kicking in a game like a preseason, there has to be somebody on the team that can kick the ball. I just don't understand.
How does Russell Wilson not be able to do that? He's a professional baseball player and football player. You can't tell me he doesn't have some athletic ability to kick a ball. Let him do it.
I'm glad you brought up baseball, Shane, because if you're out of pitchers in an MLB game, you can rely on a batter to at least give you 3 pitches. I don't know why you can't rely on a punter to literally kick a ball, which is what he gets paid to do, off a tee.
Well, he's Australian. He should be able to do it.
I know. It's unreal, and I would look for a new punter and one who maybe can kick field goals.
He's a great punter. He's not a kicker.
Yeah, but they didn't really need him for his punting aspects, did they?
Well, he pinned him back a couple times, but he was one of the best punters in the NFC this year. So I don't know.
Oh, I agree. I'm not saying he's not a good punter. I'm saying if you can't figure out literally pay me. I'll punt the ball maybe 30 yards, but I will be able to go kick you a 30-yard field goal too. You know what I mean?
No.
I'm a double-edged sword.
That's what happens when you sign a 42-year-old, 320-pound kicker.
Chris, I could kick a 45-yard field goal.
Have you ever tried?
Yes, I've tried to kick a field goal.
No, not happening.
Yeah, I'd bet $100 you wouldn't even get close.
We're taking scout team MVPs out to the park, boys, and we're gonna record it for the team, and we're gonna.
I'll bet you $100. $100 you don't get close, and I'll give you my first and third second-round draft picks for the fantasy draft if you make a 45-yard.
How far are we going?
Yeah,
35
we're
or
doing
40? Because either way, it doesn't matter. You're
40. He said 40. Yeah, he's gonna miss.
Oh my!
I actually said 45. I mean,
45 then deal. 45.
I'll kick a 65-yard
let's
field
keep it
goal
at 45, and this needs to happen once the snow is off the ground here, boys, in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I agree.
You don't want to pull a Janikowski.
ACL, Yeah, exactly. Even though I have the same body type, just a little bigger.
$100. $100. You will not make it.
Oh, I don't care about the $100. I just want your picks from fantasy. That's all.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds like a beautiful challenge that is going to have to go down here. Like I said, once it warms up a little bit in the state of Wisconsin. But boys, just a quick rundown of some of the stats from this game. Russell Wilson, 233 through the air. He did have a touchdown. Dak Prescott, 226, TD, and 1 pick. Ezekiel Elliott's doing big things again, 26 attempts, 137, and a TD. Amari Cooper, 7 receptions, 106 yards on the day. And again, Cowboys coming out on top 24-22, moving on to the divisional round of the playoffs. Going to be an exciting time come this weekend, boys.
I 100% disagree. No, I'm just playing. I agree.
I mean,
100%.
for anything, I mean, it's at least, my 2 least favorite teams, the Seahawks and the Bears, both went down. So, I mean, it worked out for me.
Yeah, well, my least favorite team's still in there, Cowboys.
Sounds like a perfect time, boys.
I hate Zeke
Sounds
so
like
much.
a perfect time to wrap up our first segment and take a short break, and we'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the Scout Team MVPs podcast, coming at you on this beautiful, beautiful day. Segment 2, we are talking huge news coming out of Green Bay, and it looks like they have found their new head coach, and he comes by way of the Tennessee Titans. Their offensive coordinator, Matt LeFleur, looks like he's going to be the new head coach, boys. Quick thoughts. Let's break him down. Where is he from? What's he all about? Is he the right fit in Green Bay? Rob, start us off.
Well, for the fact that he's from Michigan, you guys know how I like Michigan teams. I definitely love the fact that he's going to be the new head coach. He's young. That seems to be the trend. He did really well as the Rams offensive coordinator, went 11-5. This year he went 9-7 with the Titans, and had another good year. Really top half of the league in offense, so can't really complain.
I mean, he may have been the OC in LA, but McVay called the plays, so I don't know about that. I mean, Tennessee's offense, I don't know. I could take it or leave it, but I think he's new blood, but what they need. I mean, can he rein in Aaron Rodgers is going to be the big question. I think McCarthy's message had worn out, so maybe getting a young guy in there, a little bit more fire, will light it under Rodgers. Who knows? Chris, you know better than I do if you think this will work out well with him.
Yeah, I think it's a good hire. I mean, I didn't really know much about him until, they just announced it, that he was going to be the new head coach. I've done a little bit of research here looking at him. He's got a pretty extensive football background. He did play college football, 3-year starting quarterback at Saginaw Valley State, and he led his team to the Division II playoffs each of those seasons that he was there. Coaching resume, I mean, he's been in the league for quite a while now, going back to, 08-09, Houston Texans offensive quality control coach. So got his start there in the NFL. He was in college before that. Went on to the Washington Redskins as the quarterback coach. And he was there, boys, when they had RG3. As you know, RG3 played really well his rookie season, known as a mobile quarterback. Marcus Mariota, that same mold with the Titans this season. And it looks, kind of like they run a zone running game, play action, passing, attack. And they're going to have a mobile quarterback, and Aaron Rodgers not quite to the type of RG3 or Marcus Mariota, but he's still mobile, even though he's getting older. I think it's a good fit. I think he, like you said, we've talked about this at length, getting somebody younger. He is 39 years old, and I think it's going to do hopefully wonders for the Packers. But I mean, they need a lot more help than just hiring a new head coach. It's going to be interesting to see the type of players that he wants on his team. Be interesting to see what type of coaching staff he brings in. Early reports kind of look like that Mike Pettin might be retained as defensive coordinator. I think that would be a solid choice just because playing with, coaching with who he had this season, a young Packers defense. Interesting to see what he could do in year 2. You got to think they're only going to get better from here. But yeah, I mean, the Packers are known for kind of going outside of the box a little bit as far as head coaches when they hire them. I could just thinking back in my lifetime, every time they've hired somebody, it was kind of somebody that we hadn't really heard about, coordinator type people, Mike McCarthy, coordinator, Mike Sherman. Ray Rhodes, I guess, is the most notable name that you probably heard of when they hired him, but he only lasted 1 season in Green Bay. I think the biggest story here, boys, is that they didn't hire another guy named Mike. Haha, joke.
Yeah. No, but to Shane's point earlier, he mentioned how the Titans weren't necessarily killing it, and he didn't necessarily call the plays for the Rams. But I mean, if you put Aaron Rodgers and the receivers that Green Bay has and Bakhtiari on the Titans with him as the coach calling the plays, I still think that's entertaining as heck if you're a fan of Green Bay.
What's that receiving core going to look like next year? Randall Cobb most likely gone, unless I'm mistaken. I mean,
yeah, but what does he produce this year anyway? He's done nothing this year anyway, so I don't think it's much of a loss.
When Randall Cobb's healthy, he's a big third down weapon for them. Obviously, Jimmy Graham was a disappointment. I think Randall Cobb definitely helped spread the field for Devontae Adams.
Yeah, but with Cobb being out, it kind of forced them to use Graham a little more than what they normally use tight ends. And I think that only maybe opened their eyes to maybe using him more in the future. So I'm not really worried about losing Cobb at all.
What, Jimmy Graham, 3 receptions a game? He was on my fantasy team. Believe me, I struggled with this.
Yeah, I don't know why you would have him as your starter, but that's for another segment maybe.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, because Aaron Rodgers, look what he did with Drew Brees.
Yeah, but the Packers have been notorious for literally neglecting their tight ends. Didn't they have Martellus Bennett, and he went on to from the Patriots and where he crushed it, and then he died on the Packers.
He never wanted to be in Green Bay anyway, but let's not give him any airtime. He doesn't deserve it.
I'm just saying tight ends have never been a Green Bay heavy role, and maybe, once they lose Cobb, if they fail to get any receivers that can help them out, maybe they
Antonio Brown's
their tight end more.
Yeah, Antonio Brown, get him trade. He's going to Cleveland.
Yeah, maybe him and Aaron Rodgers can hate each other.
That'd be great as long as he catches touchdowns. But
him and Le'Veon can play in Cleveland.
I'm not super depressed at their receiving core without Cobb. I mean, St. Brown really stepped it up towards the end of the year. They got Geronimo Allison. He shows promise. I mean, as long as they keep Devontae Adams, they're still all right.
Yeah, obviously.
You're telling me you wouldn't take Randall Cobb on the Lions?
Actually, he would probably fit in the Lions better because of how they run. He's like a Golden Tate sort of guy, So, I mean, yeah, that would fit well. But, I mean, I'm not super high on him like every other Packers fan.
I mean, Randall Cobb, he was great in his first couple of seasons, but in the past couple of years, just can't stay healthy, hasn't produced as much. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're going to miss him because there's no way they're going to bring him back at the number that he was making, around $10 million a year. But going back to Matt LeFleur, guys, for a second, I think it's going to be interesting to see what he does, starting out here. He's got a huge task ahead of him. Obviously, having Aaron Rodgers at quarterback should probably be a huge help for him being the new head coach here. But it can be interesting to see how they mesh together. And I got to think that Aaron probably had some sort of input and maybe even signed off on this because, this is going to be probably his head coach until he retires. So got to think he's going to want to work well and maintain a good relationship with him, looking to get the Packers back to their winning ways in 2019. Just a quick little note here too. It looks like, I don't think we mentioned it, Titans offensive rank this year as Matt LeFleur, with their offensive coordinator, 25th. Nothing to write home about, but like we said, Titans kind of, I don't know, be interesting to see exactly what goes down in Green Bay here in the next couple months in the offseason. Any other thoughts, boys, on Matt LeFleur? Otherwise, we will move it right along.
Nope. I think I pretty much said all I could say without arguing with Shane for 20 more minutes.
We can do that if you want.
Other than...
yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do that. Other than him having a great name, like from that movie Dodgeball.
Yeah, I know. It's such a great name. Every time I hear the name, I think of LeFleur from Dodgeball. That's it. That's the only thing I think of. I keep wanting to see Vince Vaughn in Green Bay Packers shirt. You know what I mean?
I don't know if we can use that quote I just did without getting sued, but perfect. Just don't play any music.
But yes, interesting times in the NFL, and the Packers were the first team out of the 8 NFL teams looking for head coaches to hire one. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of domino effect it leads to, see who's going to go where. Josh McDaniels seemed to be rumored, as the top candidate for Green Bay. Obviously, that didn't go down as expected to most people. So Matt LeFleur, your new head coach of the Green Bay Packers, I wish him well. With that wraps up.
Good luck.
That's going to wrap it up for our second segment, and we will be right back after a short break. Welcome back to episode 6 of the Scout Team MVPs podcast. I am your host, Chris McMillan. With me, as always, Rob and Shane, and we are jumping right into our third segment, boys, and it is time for our honorable mentions of the week. We are going to start off in the world of baseball with Shane. Shane, take it away.
Yeah, I got a couple things going on in the wide world of baseball. About an hour ago, Orioles agree with deal with catcher Carlos Perez. Got rumors in regards to Corey Kluber of the Indians. Indians are looking for a Chris Sale level return. Essentially, they want a huge haul for their ace, Kluber. He was a former AL Cy Young Award winner. Phillies are now the most likely to land Bryce Harper. Yankees, again, still linked to Manny Machado. Phillies also linked to Machado. Brewers news. This is actually just recently. The Brewers are in serious discussions with the Giants for Madison Bumgarner. 29 years old, $12 million salary. And word is they want Corey Ray in regards to the package that the Brewers are offering. I don't like that deal. I think Corey Ray is going to have to step into the role that Keon Broxton just vacated for the Brewers, who they traded for Bobby Wall, who is a hard-throwing right-handed pitcher from the Mets, and Hill, a 21-year-old. He some solid upside, and Valerio, another 18-year-old. Those two are kind of flyers. Centerpiece of the deal is Wall, another Hader-esque power pitcher out of the bullpen, except he's right-handed. So I like the deal for the Brewers. Definitely helps them. Broxton, a career like 239 hitter, hit like 176 last year, spent most of the year in the minors. Great defense, but huge upside on this trade for Milwaukee.
Yeah, Shane, I just have a question. This offseason, there's been kind of some rumors going on that Craig Kimbrell isn't going to rejoin, or the Red Sox aren't going to.
What did you call him?
Craig Kim. What I say?
I thought he called him Kimball, but his name is Kimbrell. There's an R
Kimbrell,
in there. Yeah.
Kimbrell.
Go on.
So you just really interrupted me for that?
Yeah, I had to. It seemed necessary.
All right, Shane, so I'm just wondering if you had any news on Craig Kimbrell at all. There's been rumors going on that he might not re-sign with the Red Sox. Did you hear any news about him maybe re-signing, thinking about it, anything like that?
Yeah, actually, as of less than a day ago, Red Sox are looking as the favorite to actually return Craig Kimbrell to their roster. Just Boston, I mean, the Nationals are kind of were there, but they're kind of backed off. The White Sox just signed a closer. They have money. Don't see the Yankees going after him. So it does look indeed like he's going to be headed back to Boston more than likely here pretty quick.
Yeah, the Yankees still have Aroldis Chapman, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so they don't need Kimbrell at all.
Beautiful. Shane, that was
Chapman's not what he used to.
That was some good baseball news, and that was our first honorable mention of the week. Rob, let's talk a little bit of soccer. What's going on in that world?
Well, as the soccer fans may know, Ronaldo left Real Madrid last season at the end of the year. So this is Real Madrid's first year without him. Right now, they're fifth in standings. They have already 6 losses, which is how many they lost total last year. They lost 2-0 versus Real Sociedad. Red card for Vasquez. Yeah, last year they won the Champions League, the Super Cup, the Club World Cup, and the Supercopa. And this year it doesn't look like they're winning anything. So that's always big. And in the Premier League, a big game, Liverpool playing Man City, 1 and 2 face off. So yeah, big game in the Premier League. We had Man City, who's second, playing Liverpool, who's first. Man City ended up upsetting them and coming away with a 2-1 victory. That puts them only 4 points back, making it really possible to repeat last year's title. Some more big news for the Premier League and us U.S. soccer fans.
Yeah.
Christian Pulisic got transferred from Dortmund to Chelsea for $72.7 million.
How old is he now? He's still young, isn't he? Like 20 or something like that?
He's 22, but that transfer doesn't happen until summer of 19. So Dortmund still has him for a little bit, and Chelsea will be able to use him after the summer of 19.
He's been a stud for USA Soccer, even being so young. I mean, he's got quite the bright future, and being transferred for that amount of money, being so young, pretty big deal.
Oh yeah, that's a huge number for European players, let alone US players. Kind of gauges where the market's at with him. I mean, he did amazing things in Germany for Dortmund, always in the assists and goals category. So yeah, it's huge for Chelsea. It's huge for US fans. They can watch him more now in the Premier League, and just all around exciting.
For those of us who may not
fans.
know, Rob, why don't you touch on just how those of us out there can catch those games? When are they on?
So most of the time they are on NBC SN. That's the NBC Sports Network. If you guys don't get that, most of the time they're on NBC on Saturdays and Sundays, usually early in the morning. Latest games usually around 1 or 2. So yeah, they're on every weekend, kind of, right before the football starts, American football that is, and they're fun to watch. I mean, give them a tune, and
it used to be Saturday morning cartoons, but it might just have to be some Saturday and Sunday morning soccer. Yeah.
Christian Pulisic.
Good deal, Rob. That was.
Yep.
Does Landon Donovan still play?
Awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome, but I'm pretty sure he's in a wheelchair because he's old.
What about Michael Bradley?
At least he's in a walker. Yeah, he's still bald, but he's still playing.
Sweet deal. That's our second honorable mention of the week, and we're going to jump into our third honorable mention of the week and talk a little NBA. Rob, you're going to start us off with that as well.
Yeah, not too much out of the whole NBA, mainly just Bucks action here. Up until a couple days ago, the Bucks were number 1 in power rankings and in the NBA standings, but they did lose to the Toronto Raptors, so that put them in second in the NBA standings. They're 4-1 in their last 5, obviously being Toronto being their fifth game out of that, and they did just come off of a 144-point game against the Hawks, so still pretty exciting team. Obviously number 1 in power rankings. Giannis number 2 in all-star votes, so that's always big. Also, I don't know if you guys saw this at all, but he was December's player of the month, so that's pretty strong, and he's having a strong January as well, maybe another player of the month coming up. Did you guys catch the Toronto Raptors game at all?
I did. I watched a bit of that game, and I mean, Bucks now, they've played them 3 times on the season, winning 2 out of those 3 matchups. And I think we can clearly kind of see that they're going to face each other again coming up in the playoffs probably. And it's going to definitely be interesting. The Bucks had their number the first 2 games of the year, and Toronto coming out on top this past weekend. But they're 2 really good teams, both playing really well, and I think they're definitely going to see each other again coming up here when it gets time for postseason play.
Oh, 100% agree. The funniest part from that game, I don't know if you guys saw it at all, but Kawhi Leonard, who is a great defensive player, but more lately known for his laugh and its hideousness. Milwaukee Bucks, though, when he had a turnover, they played his laugh out loud in the entire arena. So they kind of did a little bit of a troll job on him.
Bucks have been really good in recent memory when it comes to, that kind of stuff. Even social media wise, they have one of the more, fun social medias to follow, on Twitter and Facebook and all those different avenues of social media. Definitely like to have a little fun. And yes, I did hear that and see it, and it was quite funny. Bucks, as everybody knows, we are from Wisconsin. We're Bucks fans, and you're going to get a lot of Bucks talk going forward, especially if they keep up how well they are doing. If you follow our social media, you'll see recently we've posted some of Giannis's recent stats and stuff like that, and he's been going off and quite the player. Hopefully he gets some MVP consideration if he can keep up what he's doing. That is our third honorable mention of the week, and we're going to jump into our fourth one, and we're going to talk NFL All-Pro teams were announced, gentlemen, and I have it right here. Off some of these names. Let me know if you think there's anybody that should have been on this first team that might have been left out, kind of like we did in our Pro Bowl snubs. But I'm going to run down this list. First team offense, quarterback, no surprise, Patrick Mahomes. Running back, no surprise again, Todd Gurley. Flex position, which they have on the All-Pro team, Tyreek Hill. Tight end, Travis Kelce. So that's 3 of the first 4 that I've mentioned on the Kansas City Chiefs. Wide receivers, Michael Thomas, DeAndre Hopkins. Left tackle, David Bakhtiari. Right tackle, Mitchell Schwartz, another Kansas City Chief. Left guard, Quentin Nelson. Right guard, Zach Martin. Center, Jason Kelce. That was the first team offense. Any surprises? I mean, those are all obviously really good players.
Not really, to be honest. I mean, we kind of expected it. Bakhtiari obviously having another good year, and it shows. But yeah, I mean, the Colts lineman in there. We knew Zach Martin was probably going to be in there. Jason Kelce, kind of a little bit of a surprise to me. But with how well they've been playing the Eagles as of late, it's not really that surprising. Obviously, the receivers are pretty much no-brainers. DeAndre Hopkins is a beast. Did you guys see what he did over the last week? He donated $30,000 game check to a family of a murdered child. So not only is he a baller football player, he's got a good heart.
Shane, any thoughts? Yeah, that is an awesome story, though, by the way. Shane, any thoughts on the first team offense?
In terms of first team offense, no, I don't think there's any surprises. I did hear a stat today. I read it. Something like Nelson, Quentin Nelson from the Colts, and it was Darius Leonard from the Colts. They're the first rookies on the same All-Pro team since like 1964, I want to say. Somewhere in there. I thought that was a pretty interesting stat.
Yeah, and speaking of Darius Leonard, linebacker for the Colts, he was first team defense, made that All-Pro team, and some of the other defensive first teamers, we got edge rushers, J.J. Watt of the Texans, Khalil Mack, no surprise, the Chicago Bears, interior lineman, Aaron Donald from the Rams, Fletcher Cox of the Eagles, linebackers, Luke Kuechly, Bobby Wagner, Darius Leonard, as we mentioned, cornerbacks, Kyle Fuller, Stephon Gilmore, safeties, Eddie Jackson and Derwin James. Another defensive back, we have Desmond King. So lots of awesome defensive players there. Not many, if not surprises at all. So, but jumping into special teams, boys, this is where we love these kickers. These kickers, here we go. Place kicker Justin Tucker, Baltimore Ravens. Maybe if Robb can kick a 45-yard field goal, he'll make this first team. I think they have like 3 different teams, Robb. So maybe you can be an honorable mention, since we are talking honorable mentions, though.
Yeah, honorable mention in the NFL league. Yep, totally.
Yes, Justin Tucker, place kicker of the Baltimore Ravens, punter. Here we go, Shane. Michael Dixon. He is an all-pro first teamer, even though he can't kick an onside kick.
Kick a field goal.
Yeah, well,
or an onside kick. The guy can't kick the ball off the ground. How is he an all-pro? That makes no freaking sense.
Well, what do you want?
I'm sorry. Cut this freaking guy from your team. He is a bum.
Whatever.
I mean, you can get Shane. I guarantee you could kick a ball off a tee.
Yeah, but not well.
I can guarantee you could kick an onside ball. That's how you kick onsides. That's how literally it takes no effort to kick an onside ball.
You can't kick an onside either. You can't kick a 45-yard field goal, and you can't kick a successful onside. It's not going to happen.
Shane, the whole point of onside kicks is to literally kick the ball as bad as you can. I can do that, and I'm sure you can do it as well. I don't know why this all-pro.
You have to do it a certain way. You got to kick it with some spin, some bounce.
Obviously not. He couldn't figure it out. I'm sure I could figure it out. It doesn't take rocket science to kick a freaking football into the ground.
In the Jerry Dome, you could do that in front of that many people, never having done it before, I'm sure.
He gets paid millions of dollars to kick a ball, and he can't even kick it into the ground.
You can't even do that in your backyard.
First team,
get off of his jock.
You can't even do that in your backyard.
Your eyes.
All right.
Shane, I'm going to kick a ball from my house to your house and hit you right in the head if you don't shut up.
Shouldn't have been standing there.
I am the Happy Gilmore of field goals. I'm just letting you guys know that.
In terms of intelligence.
Heyo, kick returner Andre Roberts of the New York Jets, first team All-Pro, punt returner Tariq Cohen, Chicago Bears, special teamer Adrian Phillips of the Los Angeles Chargers. That is your first team All-Pro roster. Gentlemen, we could probably talk kicking all show long, but we're not going to.
Dude, are you sure? Because Shane, it is literally just kicking a ball into the ground. It's not
You can't
hard.
do it. No, you can't do it.
I mean, if Justin Tucker could figure out a way, granted he's like 0-12, if Justin Tucker could figure out a way to kick a ball into the ground, why could Dixon not?
He's an actual kicker, not a punter.
They both kick the ball though. No, am I mistaken what a kick is? Because I'm sure a punt is still using your foot. No, I mean it's not that complicated. It's an oblong shape, and you kick it into the ground, and because it's oblong, it'll bounce in the air. It's really not that complicated. It's really going to irritate me, and Shane can't figure it out that his kicker and punter on his team, one's fat and old and tears hamstrings, and the other can't figure out how to kick a ball into the freaking ground.
Yeah.
Hey, Rob, I want you to write a 5,000-word piece on the art of kicking a football and have it ready for our next episode. Our fifth honorable mention of the week, and this is another topic that we love to talk about, and it's golf, and it is the new 2019 rules brought to you by the USGA. I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown here, boys, of some of the most important changes to the rules of golf in 2019. Some of these, like search time, don't really matter to us because, we hit it so far into the woods, we know we're not finding it anyway. Second one, if a ball is moved during search, you can replace it with no penalty. We don't care. We'll drop it on the ground anyway.
So
summer rules.
So, and here's what I want to comment on that. Shane literally hits the ball so far into the woods, he doesn't even take 3 minutes to search for his ball. He knows it's gone, and he says, "I'll drop by you." That's what we'll do. So yeah, that search doesn't really affect Shane at all, but yeah, there's a lot of rules here.
Let me break some more of these rules down for you. This is a big one, number 5 on the list. Dropping the ball. Usually you kind of hold it up at shoulder height, but now you can drop it from knee height rather than shoulder, which is good. Gives you a little bit better opportunity to get the lie and get it where you want it. Let's see here. Ball unintentionally hits player or equipment. No penalty there. Good deal. Double hit, which I know we have been probably known to do in the past. No penalty. Here's a big one that I think we need to touch on. Touching sand in the bunker incidentally is permitted. I think we can take that word incidentally and kind of,
fudge it a little bit.
Fudge it a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds to me like we're putting our clubs in the sand.
Sounds like we're
hitting
practice swinging. You know what I mean?
Sounds like we're taking full divots out of the bunker. Here's another big one, Rob, concerning the bunkers. When you can actually drop the ball out of a bunker now. It's got to be back on the line of play, but you can actually drop the ball outside of the bunker if you're willing to take 2 penalty strokes. Do you think there's probably lots of amateur golfers out there, and maybe even us, who are willing to take 2 penalty strokes so we don't got to hit the ball out of the bunker?
Yeah, so that's bigger with amateurs, like you said, because a lot of amateurs really don't get a chance to practice bunker shots. But with the pros, yeah, they're definitely not going to take that
those every time I play.
2 penalties. So yeah, because you're in them every time you play, Shane.
Right, that's the
so
point.
Now you can take 2 strokes and be a Sally and hit it from behind the bunker instead of out of the bunker.
I think that's a really good rule because, yeah, there's so many amateurs out there that just can't hit the ball out of the bunker. So they're more than willing probably to take 2 penalty strokes, dropping it, back, in the rough or whatever, and hitting from there. But
yeah, so Chris, what they're trying to do with these rules is kind of actually trying to cut down the time it takes to golf. So yeah, obviously the search time obviously shows that, but if you don't want to hit 6 times out of the sand, you just drop it behind the bunker and take 2 strokes, and your hole's a lot easier. It takes a lot less time. So
the last one that we're going to talk about is you can now putt with the flagstick in the hole. That is now permitted. I think on some of those putts, it's definitely going to be helpful.
Oh yeah, and I've also noticed that Bryson DeChambeau's already taken advantage of the rule and been using the flag stick in the hole as opposed to drawing it every time. So, yeah, like you said, you can now smoke a ball off the green or on the green, whether you want to putt it on the green or not. I will use the sand wedge probably. But yeah, you can literally just skull that thing into the flag stick and it's not going to cost you. So that's cool.
Shane, these new rules, are they going to help your golf game at all?
No. I would need divine intervention to help my golf game.
Soul to the devil for golf game, he still wouldn't be good enough to use these rules.
I mean, you were good for a while, Shane. You just lost it. You lost it.
Yeah, I lost it just like Robb lost his ability to kick a 45-yard field goal.
We're not talking. Let's stop talking about punters and kickers. And as much as I love kickers,
I don't know why he keeps bringing it up. It must be on his mind that I don't know, man. This guy is crazy.
As much as I love kickers, I used to be one. Let's not anymore. So,
Chris, you went to Palmyra. You were the quarterback, the kicker, the defensive back, the lineman, the linebacker, punter. Yeah, you were everything.
I think some people that are listening can probably relate to this. Our senior year, boys, at one point in the season, we had 11 players starting both ways.
There's literally 2 good players on the whole entire team. Yeah, you kind of have to use them all over.
With that, perfect time to wrap up our honorable mentions of the week, and we will be right back and get into our scouting for picks segment and pick those divisional round playoff games. Welcome back to the Scout Team MVPs podcast. Just wrapped up our honorable mentions of the week, and we are going to jump right into scouting for picks. I am so bad at picking NFL games. Let's be done. Please. Can we stop this nonsense?
Did you not only go 2-2 or?
No, I went 0-4 on our picks again.
I thought we really?
Yes, 0-4. After winning 3 games in the last week.
The games that you picked different games than me, you lost. So that's weirdly coincidental.
I lost every single pick.
Yeah, but we picked, Anyway, we'll get into it more, but yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about it right here on the Scout Team MVPs podcast, episode 6, scouting for picks time. Let's recap those picks in which I went 0-4 last week. Shane did not pick last week, but we're going to jump right into it with the Colts at Texans wildcard action. Robb picked the Colts. Chris picked the Texans. Robb was correct there. Next game, Chargers at Ravens. We both picked the Ravens, Robb, and we were both incorrect. Eagles, Chris, what? Are you going to make fun of my picks again?
No, because I thought the Ravens was a decent pick. Well, I don't remember what you said as to your reason why.
Why I picked Ravens? I thought, playing at home, I know Lamar Jackson being a rookie, but he'd been playing well, and their defense top notch. I just thought it was going to happen.
I thought everything pointed that way too, but from now on, I got a new method of how I'm going to pick.
Okay, we'll get into that when
Chris picks something. I'm picking the other thing.
Probably a sound strategy. Next matchup, Eagles at Bears. We both picked the Bears, and as we're not going to get into the kickers talk again, but we were wrong. Bears lost by a point there against the Eagles.
I know I could at least kick an extra point length field goal. Are you kidding me?
I thought we weren't talking about this anymore.
Seahawks at Cowboys. Robb, you picked the Cowboys. I picked the Seahawks. Why did I pick the Seahawks?
I mean, it was a tough pick. It was a tough pick,
and I thought it was going to work out in my favor, but I was wrong.
I just figured the Cowboys been on a roll, and Seattle's defense looked a little weak to stop Zeke, and obviously, of course, I was right. So
it's your fault the Seahawks lost? Thanks.
Yeah, every time Chris picks him, I'm sure one of our viewers commented on one of our social media saying he jinxed the Bears, and lo and behold, the Bears end up losing the game. So it's definitely a real thing.
Yeah,
that viewer is a little interesting.
We love all of our viewers here on the Scout Team MVPs podcast. But with those picks, boys, that brings our overall scouting for picks standings to this. Robb holding down the number one spot at 9-7. Shane, even though you've missed 2 weeks, which count as losses if you don't pick, that's 7 games that you missed, but you are still in second place over me at 6-10, and I'm holding it down way down at the bottom at 5-11. Gross.
So I'm pretty sure all Shane has to do is miss the rest of the weeks, and he would still be second place.
Probably. Probably true.
You guys, I don't know how much longer we can call ourselves the scout team MVPs scouting for picks if one of our scout team members literally gets every single one of them wrong.
Well, I thought one of the points of that we're the scout team MVPs is we're not good enough to be, actual players, but so, we're on the scout team.
Well, yeah. Sure.
Okay, well, whatever.
Hey, if Skip Bayless has a job on radio and TV, you got a chance.
There's always hope.
Yeah.
Which brings us to round 2 of the playoffs, the divisional round coming up this weekend. We have Saturday action, Colts at the Chiefs. Let's get those picks, and let's start with Robb.
Colts and Chiefs. It's going to be a weird stat. I'm going with a little different method here. I'm going to go with the Colts over the Chiefs, mainly for the fact that the Chiefs are 0-4 in the playoffs against the Colts since '95. I know it's a little bit outdated stat.
Back when your boy Jim Harbaugh was quarterback.
Yeah, but either way, Colts are coming out winners. Andrew Luck's a beast. Have fun with that crappy defense trying to stop Andrew Luck.
Shane, thoughts? Pick? What do you got?
Chiefs defense is bad. They're at home. Arrowhead, probably one of the toughest places to play. Give me the Chiefs.
Nice. I like it. Down and dirty, quick to the point. Perfect. You got the Chiefs. Robb's got the Colts. Well, who's going to be upset here?
Whatever you pick, side you pick, I can guarantee the other person is going to be happy.
You know what? I'm going Chiefs. Shane, welcome.
Hey, thank you. I automatically go 1-0.
Hey.
What a great start to the week.
That's all right. I missed 7 picks, and I'm only 3 behind Robb, so he's clearly not that good at picking games.
Yeah, but I don't have to miss 2 weeks to get there. You know what I mean?
No matter how you get there.
Yeah, but if I don't,
whatever. It is what it is, and I'm going Chiefs because, like Shane said, Chiefs at home. I mean, the Colts run has to end sooner or later, right? So I think it's bound to be this week. Colts at Chiefs. Shane and I going Chiefs. Robb going Colts. Next matchup on Saturday, we have Cowboys at the Los Angeles Rams. Robb, start us off.
I'm definitely going to go with the Rams. Cowboys, I don't like them. It sucked to pick them last week, so I'm going to not pick them this week.
Works for me. Shane?
I actually hate to agree with him, but I also hate the Cowboys, especially after this last week. I actually think in LA, the Rams this year are going to be a little tough. I think they'll find a way to win without Todd Gurley having a big game. I think Jared Goff's going to have to step up, and I think he will.
I think a lot of those injuries that happened in the Cowboys game this past week, everyone saw that Allen Hurns injury, gruesome. A couple other guys banged up for the Cowboys. I think the Rams offense too much to handle, and we're all going to be going Rams as I am picking them as well.
Oh, crap.
1-1 Next matchup, for the week, going to Sunday. This is a 1:05 p.m. Eastern time game. We have Los Angeles Chargers at the New England Patriots. Huge matchup. Should be a fun one to watch. Robb, who you got in that one?
I'm definitely not going to go against my boy Tom Brady. Every time I do, it bites me in the butt. He's 6-0 against Luck, 7-0 against Rivers. I like his chances.
Shane?
Yeah, like you touched on, Patriots at home in the playoffs. Tom Brady 7-0 against Phillip Rivers. Not a lot going for the Chargers, but I'm going Chargers. This is the time for Phillip Rivers to beat them. It's going to happen. Patriots look old. Tom Brady, Gronk. I mean, I just think this is the year.
I think it's definitely if it's going to happen, it might be this game. But I think with the Patriots having that first round bye, having a couple weeks to prepare. I know it's happening, Robb. Bill Belichick, a couple weeks to prepare.
Don't you do it.
And with that stat of Tom Brady never losing to Phillip Rivers, it's not going to start now. Patriots win that one. Yep. Sunday, 4:40 p.m. Eastern time. Our next game, boys. Eagles at Saints. Nick Foles, Drew Brees, who's coming out on top, Rob?
I said it earlier in the show. I'm saying it again. Nick Foles is going to lead this team to beat a better Saints team. I'm not going to lie. The Saints are better. If they won, I wouldn't be surprised, but I had to take the Eagles. I like Nick Foles a lot. And as long as he doesn't throw too many interceptions, I think they're going to come
Shane,
away
who
with
you
the
got?
win.
Pretty much everything you just said there was a huge contradiction of yourself. I think the Saints are better. I think they'll win. But give me the Eagles.
No. I said I wouldn't be surprised if they won. Shane, that's different than I think they'll win.
Okay. Well, I think you're crazy.
God, what are you, CNN? Jeez, twisting my words.
I think the Saints are going to win easily. Easy with the political stuff, Chief. Give me the Saints.
I think the Eagles' magic is done. It's done. Saints are going to win at home. Too much to handle. I'm picking Saints.
Ugh.
Shane, let's go Saints. Can we start a chant?
At least I know I'm winning this week. No.
Saints are going to the Super Bowl.
So with that,
God, you are delusional.
We have Shane and myself picking the Saints, Rob picking the Eagles, Rob and I going with Patriots over the Chargers. We're all going Rams. Shane and I are going Chiefs. Rob picking the Colts. Yes, let's do something fun. What do you got? I
just want right now to have all three of us pick what we think the Super Bowl matchup's going to be. Just right now, just off the cuff.
Patriots, Saints.
Saints, Chiefs.
Oh, God.
I'm going Pats, Eagles. Yep.
Good job. Perfect. Yeah, Rob, you can't kick a 45-yard field goal. With that, here we go. Jumping in right after a short break. We're going to get in. We're going to wrap it up for the week. And here we go. Wrapping it up for episode 6. This has been quite a fun episode, kind of all over the map, but I think it was a good time, boys.
Yeah, it was all right. I'm going to have to request that Shane never misses again because I get a lot of pent-up aggression towards him, and it all comes out in one show. So we're going to have him on every week in order for me not to outburst like I did.
Shane, it sounds like you're gonna have to miss a couple episodes because I think this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I wouldn't mind not talking to you clowns every week, so that's fine.
Shane, we're your only thing in your life. You know that? That's exactly it.
I don't know about that.
Well, we love you, Shane.
Well, Chris does.
Yeah,
it's mutual.
Episode 6 wrapping up. We had a fun time. Scout Team MVPs can be found on Facebook and Twitter at Scout Team MVPs. We are online at www.scoutteammvps.com. Our podcast page, anchor.fm/Scout Team MVPs, and everywhere you enjoy listening to podcasts, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher. We're on all those different platforms. Rob, you got your hand up. What you need, bud?
Hey, Chris. I'm just wondering if someone wanted to donate to the show, where and how would they do it?
That's a great question, Rob. You can do that on our podcast profile, like I said, at anchor.fm/Scout Team MVPs. And there is a button that says support this podcast. And what that does, you're able to set up whether you want to do a one-time donation or monthly donations. If you want to help us sustain this podcast, much appreciated. That was nice, Rob. Thank you for reminding me of that.
That was very terrible.
And yes, we are wrapping up episode 6. We talked NFL wildcard action. Packers got a new head coach. We had all kinds of honorable mentions this week. We talked about kicking for way too long, but and we have a challenge thrown down. Rob is going to kick us a 45-yard field goal, and if he makes it, which he's not, he's going to get $100 and picks in round 1 and 3 from Shane in our upcoming fantasy season. So we'll have to keep tabs on that. And maybe we should go do it at the Palmyra Eagle practice field, Rob.
Oh, yeah.
No,
that's it.
They're not going to exist anymore.
Oh, that's...
should ask people to donate money to them. I do just want to
give a shout out to all our listeners and people who've left reviews to our pages and giving us comments. We appreciate all the love and just keep doing it, and we'll keep doing this.
Yes, we've had lots of positive feedback so far in our first few episodes. We really do appreciate that, and we're going to do the best we possibly can to keep bringing you all the good action in the world of sports weekly on Wednesdays. And boys, we have, as we record this right now, national championship game being played, which we are going to touch on in a future episode. And speaking of future episodes, we are going to be not recording next week, not going to have an episode dropping, but we're going to be back 2 weeks from now with another episode, wrapping up all those things that we missed over those previous weeks. We're going to get those picks in. We're going to probably post our picks for next week's matchups on our Facebook page and our Twitter page as well, so we don't miss any of those picks there. But we have so much stuff going on. Sad news that we're not going to be able to record next week, but we're going to be back and better than ever 2 weeks from now after this episode drops on Wednesday. Gentlemen, it was a pleasure doing business with you this week.
Yeah, it was nice talking to one of you. But hope you guys take care. Chris, hope you have fun doing whatever you're doing, and Shane, you as well, I guess. I can wish you well. Take care, boys.
Any last thoughts, Shane, on episode number 6 before we sign off for the week?
Nah, not really.
Thank you.
Yeah, what a good contributing member.
Yes,
yeah.
With that, thank you, everybody, for listening, and we will be back 2 weeks from now.
Thank you for listening to the Scout Team MVPs. Be sure to subscribe and tune in next week as the MVPs discuss all the non-stop action in the world of sports.